The bridge of the iron mortar fell silent as the Draventhi transmission ended. Commander Hana Kim stood before the main view screen, her hands clasped behind her back, staring at the 12 alien warships that surrounded her vessel. The enemy fleet commander had given them 1 hour to surrender. 1 hour before they would be destroyed. Lieutenant Jiwan Park gripped her console so hard her knuckles turned white. She looked at her commander and wondered why Hana seemed so calm. The other bridge officers shifted nervously in their seats. They were 1 ship against 12? The math was simple and brutal. Hana turned slowly, her dark eyes sweeping across her crew. Something flickered in those eyes, something ancient that made Jiwan's breath catch. For just a moment, the commander looked like someone else entirely. Someone older. Someone dangerous. "Status report," Hana said quietly. Her voice carried easily in the tense silence. Navigator Dayan Cho cleared his throat. "All enemy vessels are maintaining position at 20,000 kilometers. Weapons charged and locked on us. No escape route available? Commander, engine status?" Chief Engineer Hyunwoo Lee looked up from his station. "All systems normal, but we can't outrun them. Their ships are faster." Hana nodded slowly. She walked to her command chair but didn't sit. Instead, she placed one hand on the armrest and smiled. It was a strange smile. Not afraid. Not worried. Almost pleased. "Tell me something," Hana said. "Do any of you know where I was before I joined the fleet 5 years ago?" The question surprised everyone. Jiwan exchanged glances with Dayan. They had all wondered about their commander's past. Hana never talked about it. Her service record before her sudden appearance was classified at the highest level. "No, Commander," Jiwan answered carefully. "I was dead," Hana said simply. "At least, that's what the record said. 28 years ago, I was 6 years old on a colony ship called the New Dawn. We disappeared in the Voronezh Nebula. 300 souls lost. They never found wreckage. Never found bodies. The galaxy moved on." She walked toward the view screen, her boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. "But I didn't die. Something found me. Something old. Something that exists in the spaces between reality. Humans call her Baba Yaga." Hyunwoo laughed nervously. "The witch from fairy tales?" "Commander, with respect, this isn't the time for stories." Hana glanced back at him. Her eyes had changed color. They were still dark, but now they held depths that seemed to go on forever. Hyunwoo's laugh died in his throat. "Baba Yaga is real," Hana said softly. "She found me floating in that nebula, the only survivor. She took me to her hut, the one that walks on chicken legs through impossible places. She raised me, taught me, showed me that the universe is bigger and stranger than any species knows." Jiwan's tactical display began flickering. Numbers appeared that made no sense. Coordinates that couldn't exist. She tapped her screen, trying to clear the errors. "Don't bother," Hana told her. "That's not a malfunction. The ship is waking up. I've been preparing the iron mortar since I took command. Every bulkhead carries marks you've never noticed. Every corridor holds symbols painted in blood." "My blood?" "Given willingly." "Commander," Dan said slowly. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying the Draventhi have made a terrible mistake. They think humans are weak because we believe in old stories. They think our technology is primitive because we carry superstitions. They don't understand that our stories are real, that our beliefs shape reality in ways their science can't measure." The lights on the bridge dimmed, then brightened, then dimmed again, pulsing like a heartbeat. Hana raised one hand and spoke words in a language none of them recognized. Russian, but older, twisted, wrong. The iron mortar shuddered. "Not from weapons fire? From something inside?" Jiwan's console showed impossible readings. The ship's energy signature was changing, growing, becoming something that her instruments couldn't classify. 30 minutes until the Draventhi deadline," Dan reported, his voice shaking. "We won't need 30 minutes, Hana said. She turned to face her crew fully. "I need you to trust me. What you're about to see will frighten you. But remember that I'm still your commander." I am still Hana. I've just learned things that most humans never will. What did she teach you? Buwan heard herself ask. Hana's smile grew wider. Everything. How to read the bones of stars. How to make deals with things that live in dark spaces. How to turn stories into weapons. Baba Yaga taught me that the universe bends to those who know the old words, who understand the old prices, who are willing to pay them. She walked to the center of the bridge. From her pocket, she pulled a small knife. Before anyone could react, she drew the blade across her palm. Blood welled up, dark and red. Hana let it drip onto the floor, speaking continuously in that ancient Russian tongue. The blood didn't pool. It spread across the floor in patterns, forming symbols that hurt to look at directly. The patterns began to glow with a dim red light. The light spread to the walls, to the ceiling. The entire bridge became covered in glowing symbols that pulsed in time with the ship's strange new heartbeat. The Draventhi are hailing us again, Theon said, his voice barely above a whisper. They want to know what we're doing. Their sensors are reading massive energy buildups. They're demanding we power down? Tell them, Hana said calmly, wrapping her bleeding hand in a cloth, that Baba Yaga's daughter sends her regards. Tell them they should have studied human fairy tales more carefully. Tell them that in every story, the witch always wins. The enemy fleet opened fire. Jiwan watched in horror as dozens of missiles streaked toward them. Energy beams lanced through space. Enough firepower to vaporize a city. The weapons struck the iron mortar shields. The ship didn't shake. The shields didn't strain. Instead, the energy was absorbed into those glowing symbols, converted, changed, and then reflected back. The missiles that should have destroyed them curved in impossible arcs, turning back toward the ships that launched them. The energy beams split into dozens of smaller beams, each one finding a target on the Draventhi vessels. Systems began failing on the enemy ships. Not from damage, from something else. Something that made their computers scream error codes in languages that shouldn't exist. Hana spoke one more word. One single word in that terrible old language. The Draventhi flagship, the pride of their fleet, simply folded. Space bent around it like paper being crumpled. The massive warship compressed, twisted, and vanished into a point of darkness that swallowed all light. Gone, not destroyed. Removed from reality entirely, the remaining 11 ships scattered in panic. Their commanders had never seen anything like this. Their science had no explanation. They ran. Hana let them go. She closed her eyes and swayed slightly. Jiwan jumped up to steady her, but Hana waved her off. I'm fine, the commander said. Just tired. Using the old ways always costs something. She looked at her crew. They stared back at her with new eyes. With fear, yes, but also with awe, with understanding. The Draventhi will come back, Hana said quietly. In greater numbers. They will bring their entire armada. They will try to destroy humanity for daring to embarrass them. And when they come, I will teach them why every culture in human history has stories about witches. Why those stories always end the same way. She walked slowly back to her command chair and finally sat down. The glowing symbols faded from the bridge, but everyone could still feel them. Still sense them waiting in the walls. Set course for Earth, Hana ordered. I need to speak with the Admiralty. We have 3 months to prepare. 3 months before the Draventhi return with everything they have. And what will we do, Commander? Yunwu asked quietly. Hana smiled that strange ancient smile again. We'll remind the galaxy why they should have left humanity alone. We'll show them that Baba Yaga's daughter knows more than just tricks. She knows how to win wars. The iron mortar turned toward home, its engines burning with normal fusion fire. But everyone on board knew that nothing was normal anymore. Their commander had revealed herself. And the galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after the battle, news reached every corner of Draventhi space. The Empire had lost a flagship to a single human vessel. Fleet commanders demanded explanations. Admirals called for investigations. But Emperor Thraxanos had only one response. He declared total war on humanity. The Crimson Armada began assembling immediately. 300 warships, the largest fleet the Draventhi had ever gathered. They would crush humanity completely. No negotiation, no mercy. The Emperor placed his best commander, Fleet Commander Vrextel, in charge. Vrextel had conquered 17 species in his long career. He would make humanity number 80 on Earth. Admiral Taiyang Kong sat in his office staring at the reports from the Iron Mortar. He had read Hannah Kim's after-action statement 5 times. Each time it made less sense and more sense simultaneously. Magic, blood rituals, impossible physics. Any other commander would have been relieved of duty and sent for psychological evaluation, but Taiyang had known Hannah for 5 years. He had watched her win battles she shouldn't have won. He had seen her interrogate captured enemy officers and break them with nothing but words and a strange look in her eyes. He had suspected she was different. Now he knew how different. When Hannah entered his office, she looked tired. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. Her uniform was crisp and proper, but something about her seemed faded. Used up. Sit down, Commander, Taiyang said. Hannah sat. She folded her hands in her lap and waited. I've read your report, Taiyang said carefully. I've also read the reports from your crew. They all match. Every detail. Either you've convinced your entire bridge crew to support an elaborate lie, or you're telling the truth. I'm telling the truth, sir. Baba Yaga, the witch from Russian folklore. She's real. She raised you, yes, sir. Taiyang leaned back in his chair. I should have you committed. I should strip your command and lock you in a psychiatric facility. You understand that? Yes, sir. But you won't. Why won't I? Hannah met his eyes. Because in 3 months, 300 Draventhi warships will arrive to destroy every human world. Because our entire fleet can barely muster 70 combat-ready vessels. Because the math says we lose. We all die. Unless you let me do what I was trained to do. Silence filled the office. Outside the window, Earth turned slowly in the darkness of space. Billions of people going about their lives, unaware that extinction approached. What do you need? Taiyang asked quietly. Complete authority over the defense, Hannah said. No oversight, no committee, no politicians asking questions. Let me fight this war my way. If I give you that authority and you fail, humanity dies. If you don't give me that authority, humanity dies anyway. At least my way, we have a chance. Taiyang studied her for a long moment. Then he reached into his desk and pulled out a datapad. He typed quickly, using his command codes. When he finished, he slid it across the desk to Hannah. Full authority. Military and civilian resources. Whatever you need. Don't make me regret this. Hannah picked up the pad and stood. You won't regret it, sir. But the Draventhi will. 1 week later, the Iron Mortar left Earth orbit with a crew that had grown from 20 to 40. Hannah had handpicked each new member. Not for their skills with weapons or engines. She chose them for other reasons. Reasons she didn't explain. Lieutenant Jiwon Park found her commander in the cargo bay at midnight. Hannah knelt on the floor, painting symbols on the metal with a brush and a bucket of dark red liquid. Is that blood? Jiwon asked. Mine, Hannah said without looking up. Given willingly. That's important. The old ways require consent. Sacrifice means nothing if it's forced. Jiwon watched her work. The symbols were beautiful and terrible at the same time. Looking at them made her head hurt slightly, like trying to see something that existed in too many dimensions. Where are we going? Jiwon asked. You haven't told anyone our destination. To find friends, Hannah said. She finished one symbol and started another. Baba Yaga wasn't the only one. The old powers heard humanity's stories and came to exist. They live in the quiet places, the dark places, the spaces between stars where normal ships don't go. You're recruiting them. I'm asking for help. There's a difference. Will they help us? Hannah paused, her brush hovering over the floor. If I pay the price they ask? Everything has a price, Jiwon. The old powers don't work for free. They'll help humanity, but I'll have to give them something in return. What will you give them? Pieces of myself. Hannah resumed painting. Memories, emotions, parts of who I am. Each one will want something different. By the time I'm done recruiting them, I won't be the same person who started. Juan felt cold. Commander, you can't. I can. I will. It's the only way to save everyone. Hannah looked up at her. This is what Baba Yaga trained me for, Juan. She knew this day would come. She knew humanity would need a witch of their own someday. Someone willing to pay the price as others. Kunt, someone who understands that magic. Is just another word for sacrifice. The Iron Mortar's first stop was a nebula that human charts. Called the Crimson Veil, no ships went there. Survey crews reported strange readings, nightmares, equipment failures. One crew vanished completely. Hannah took the ship straight into the heart of the nebula. The sensors went crazy. The lights flickered. Crew members reported hearing voices in empty corridors. Seeing shapes in the corners of their vision on the bridge, Hannah stood alone. She had ordered everyone else to their quarters. She spoke into the red mist outside, her voice carrying on channels that shouldn't exist. Frau Perchta? I know you're here. I am Baba Yaga's daughter. I come seeking alliance. The mist swirled, formed. A figure appeared on the view screen, tall and terrible. A woman with eyes like winter ice and a smile full of too many teeth. When she spoke, frost formed on the inside of the bridge windows. Baba Yaga's child. I wondered when you would come. You seek my help against the Draventhi. Yes, what will you pay? Hannah took a deep breath. What do you want? Your warmth. All the cozy memories of safety and comfort. Every moment of being held. Every feeling of being safe. Give them to me and I will help. Hannah closed her eyes. She thought of her childhood before the new dawn vanished. Her mother's arms. Her father's laugh. The warmth of the colony ship's common room. All of it precious. All of it part of who she was. I accept, she whispered. Frau Perchta reached through the screen. Her hand passed through solid matter as if it was smoke. She touched Hannah's forehead with one frozen finger. Pain, cold, a terrible emptiness. Hannah gasped as memories were ripped away. Not forgotten, removed, taken. She could remember that she had parents, but couldn't remember what their hugs felt like. She knew she had been warm once, but couldn't recall the sensation. When Frau Perchta withdrew her hand, Hannah stumbled. She caught herself on the command chair. Everything looked the same, but felt different, colder, distant. It is done, Frau Perchta said. When you call, I will come. My sleigh will ride through your enemy's fleet, and those who see it will know madness. The figure vanished. The mist cleared. The iron mortar drifted in normal space again. Juan found Hannah on the bridge an hour later. The commander sat in her chair, staring at nothing. Commander? Are you all right? Hannah looked at her. Juan stepped back. Something was different in those eyes. Something missing. I'm fine, Hannah said. But her voice was flatter. More distant. Set course for the next destination. We have more recruiting to do. Over the next 2 months, the Iron Mortar visited places that shouldn't exist. Hannah met with powers that had no names in human language. Each one agreed to help. Each one took a price. Rangda, the demon queen from Indonesian nightmares, took Hannah's fear. After that meeting, Hannah walked through danger without hesitation, without caution. Because she couldn't feel afraid anymore, Baba Roga, Baba Yaga's Serbian sister, took Hannah's mercy, the capacity to forgive, to show kindness to enemies. After that, Hannah's eyes held only cold calculation. With each bargain, Hannah became less human, more effective, more terrifying. Her crew watched their beloved commander hollow herself. Out piece by piece, Juan tried to talk to her after the 4th bargain. Commander, please. You're losing yourself. There has to be another way. Hannah looked at her with eyes that held no warmth. No fear, no mercy. Only purpose. There is no other way. This is what leadership means, Juan. Someone has to pay the price. Someone has to become the monster so everyone else can stay human. I chose this. I'll see it through. 3 months after the first battle, the Crimson Armada arrived at the edge of human space. 300 warships in perfect formation. The largest fleet ever assembled. Fleet Commander Vrextel looked at his displays with satisfaction. 70 human ships waited for them at the Casti Nebula. The humans had chosen their grave well. He didn't see the other forces Hannah had positioned. The powers that waited in the dark spaces. The old things that existed because humans believed in them. On the Iron Mortar's bridge, Hannah stood alone. Her crew was at their stations, but they gave her space. She looked different now, harder, colder, like a statue carved from ice. She spoke one word into the void. A word of summoning in the old language. The battle was about to begin. Fleet. Commander Vrextel stood on the bridge of his command dreadnought, the Eternal Fang, and surveyed the battlefield. 70 human ships arranged in defensive positions near the Casti Nebula. Against his 300 warships, the outcome was certain. This would be a massacre, a lesson to the entire galaxy about Draventhi power. All ships report ready, his tactical officer reported. Weapons charged. Targets locked. Begin the attack, Vrextel ordered. Show no mercy. I want every human vessel destroyed. Leave nothing but debris. The Crimson Armada surged forward. Thousands of missiles launched. Energy beams cut through space. The first wave of destruction raced toward the human fleet on the Iron Mortar. Hannah Kim watched the enemy approach without expression. Her bridge crew sat tense at their stations. Giwan's hands hovered over her weapons controls. Dayan monitored their position. Hyunwoo kept the engines ready for emergency maneuvers. They all waited for their commander's orders. Hannah said nothing. She simply closed her eyes and spoke words in that ancient Russian tongue. Words that made reality shiver. Words that called to powers waiting in the darkness. The first Draventhi missiles reached the human fleet. Then something impossible happened. The missiles stopped, hung in space, then slowly turned around and flew back toward the ships that launched them. Draventhi point defense systems opened fire desperately, but the missiles moved with unnatural intelligence. They dodged, weaved, found gaps in the defenses. Explosions bloomed across the Draventhi formation. What's happening? Vrextel demanded. How are they controlling our missiles? His tactical officer shook his head, confusion on his alien features. They're not, Commander. Our missiles are just turning around, as if they have minds of their own. Impossible. Missiles don't have minds. But the impossible had only begun. The Casti Nebula stirred. The gas and dust that had drifted peacefully for millions of years suddenly moved with purpose. Shapes formed in the cosmic clouds. Terrible shapes that hurt to look at directly. From the heart of the nebula, something emerged. Something that shouldn't exist in normal space. A hut. A small wooden house that walked on enormous chicken legs. Each leg was the size of a battleship. The hut strode through the void as if space was solid ground beneath it. Windows glowed with warm yellow light. Smoke rose from the chimney and formed patterns that made. Draventhi sensors scream error codes. Baba Yaga's house had arrived. What is that? Vrextel whispered. In his long military career, he had seen many strange things. Alien life forms. Unknown technologies. But nothing like this. Nothing that violated reality so completely. The chicken legs kicked out. One massive talon struck a Draventhi destroyer. The ship didn't just explode. It ceased to exist. One moment there, the next moment gone. Erased from reality as if it had never been, another leg swept through a formation of cruisers. They crumpled like paper in a child's fist. Metal and shields meant nothing to the old magic. All ships scatter. Vrextel ordered. Avoid that thing. Focus fire on the human fleet. But more impossibilities manifested. From the port side of the Draventhi formation, a sleigh appeared. It flew through space without engines or thrusters, pulled by creatures that looked like horses but weren't. The driver stood tall in the sleigh. A woman with winter in her eyes. Frau Perchta had come. She cracked a whip made of frozen starlight. The sound echoed across impossible distances. Every Draventhi who heard it felt something break in their minds. Madness spread through their ranks. Ship commanders suddenly couldn't remember what they were doing. Why they were fighting? Some started attacking their own fleet. Others simply drifted, their crews staring at nothing. Restore order? Rextal screamed into his communicator. All ships ignore the hallucinations. They're not real. But they were real. And more were coming, Rangda manifested as a cloud of darkness that spread between the ships. Any Draventhi vessel that entered the cloud aged instantly. Hulls corroded in seconds. Systems failed as components decayed centuries in heartbeats. Crews inside grew old and died, their bodies turning to dust. Baba Roga opened her mouth, and her mouth kept opening wider and wider until it was large enough to swallow stars. A Draventhi carrier flew straight into that mouth. The jaws closed. The carrier was gone, consumed. This isn't possible, Vrextal said, his voice shaking. None of this is possible. His science officer looked at him with fear in her eyes. Commander, I'm detecting massive reality distortions across the battlefield. Space itself is breaking down. The laws of physics are being rewritten. While the ancient powers tore through the Draventhi fleet, the human ships advanced. They fought with conventional weapons, but those weapons were enhanced by borrowed magic. Missiles that never missed? Energy beams that curved around shields. Torpedoes that phased through armor as if it wasn't there. Hannah stood on the Iron Mortar's bridge, conducting the battle like a symphony. She spoke continuously in the old language, directing the powers she had summoned, coordinating attacks, exploiting weaknesses. Her crew watched her in awe and terror. This wasn't their commander anymore. This was something else. Something that wore Hana's face but had become cold and strange. Jiwan noticed Hana swaying slightly. The commander's nose was bleeding. Small drops of blood fell to the floor and formed more of those terrible symbols. The magic was consuming her, using her up. Commander, Jiwan said quietly, you need to stop. You're hurting yourself. Hana didn't respond. Didn't even seem to hear? She was too focused on the battle. Too deep in the ancient power flowing through her, the Draventhi fleet was breaking. Vrextal-esque careful formations dissolved into chaos. Ships fled in every direction. Some tried to jump to hyperspace and vanished into dimensions they couldn't navigate, lost forever. Others simply surrendered, broadcasting their submission on all channels. In 30 minutes, the Crimson Armada had lost 100 ships. The pride of the Draventhi Empire was being destroyed by things that shouldn't exist. Then a new signal appeared on the Iron Mortar sensors. A small craft broadcasting on human frequencies. The message was simple. Commander Kim, I have information. Please don't kill me. Jiwan routed the signal to Hana. The commander's eyes focused for the first time in an hour. She gestured, and the signal came through to the main screen. A young Draventhi officer appeared. He looked terrified. His uniform was that of a lieutenant, but he wore no insignia of rank. My name is Ixmal, he said quickly. I tried to warn them. I studied your species. I read your stories. I knew what you would do. But they wouldn't listen. Called me a coward. I'm risking execution for this, but I can't watch more deaths. Why should I trust you? Hana's voice was cold, flat, empty of emotion. Because I know where Emperor Thraxanos is watching this battle. He's on a hidden dreadnought at the edge of the system. If he dies, the war ends. The Draventhi will surrender completely. But you need to know something else. He has a planet-killer weapon on that ship. If he sees he's losing, he'll destroy Earth out of spite. Hana went very still. Her crew exchanged worried glances. Can you give me the coordinates? Hana asked. Already transmitting. But Commander, that dreadnought has shields that can withstand anything. Even your allies would have trouble breaking through. And if the Emperor activates his weapon, nothing can stop it. The beam travels faster than light. By the time you detect it firing, Earth is already dead. Hana closed her eyes. When she opened them, Jiwan saw something she hadn't seen in months: emotion, pain, fear. For just a moment, a small piece of the real Hannah showed through the cold shell. "I understand," Hannah said. "Thank you for this information, Ixmal. When this is over, I'll make sure your people know what you did." She cut the signal, turned to her crew. "Baba Yaga prepared me for this. One final spell, one final price. If I pay it, I can reach the Emperor before he fires his weapon. I can end this war. What's the price?" Jiwan asked, though she already knew the answer would be terrible. "Everything," Hannah said simply. "I give up what's left of my humanity? I become something else entirely. Not human anymore? Not which. Something in between. Something new." "No," Jiwan stood up. "Commander, there has to be another way. You've already given up so much. Don't give up yourself. If I don't, the Emperor destroys Earth, billions of people die, including everyone you love. Everyone I'm supposed to protect." Dan spoke from his station. "Hannah, please. We'll find another way." "Well, there is no other way." Hannah's voice cracked just for a moment. The cold mask slipped, and they saw the pain underneath. The loneliness. The terrible burden she carried. "This is why Baba Yaga trained me. This is why I came back. Someone has to pay the price. Someone has to become the monster so humanity can survive." She walked to the center of the bridge. From her pocket she pulled the small knife she always carried, the one she had used to mark the ship with her blood. "I'm sorry," Hannah whispered. Not to her crew. To herself. To the person she was about to stop being. "But I'd do it again. You're all worth it." She drew the knife across both palms. Blood poured out more than should be possible. It flowed across the floor, up the walls, across the ceiling. The entire bridge became painted in red symbols that glowed brighter and brighter. Hannah spoke the final incantation. The words of transformation. The price Baba Yaga had warned her about. Her body erupted with light. Ancient power poured into her, through her, transforming her at the deepest level. Her cells? Her atoms. Her very existence. When the light faded, Hannah Kim still stood there. But she was different, taller. Her eyes glowed with inner fire. Her hair moved as if in an invisible wind. Power radiated from her like heat from a star. She was no longer fully human. She was the Witch Queen, Baba Yaga's true heir, and she was going to kill an emperor, the transformation complete. Hannah looked down at her hands. They glowed with soft light, and symbols moved beneath her skin like living tattoos. She could feel the old power flowing through her veins where blood used to be. She could sense the fabric of reality, see the threads that held space and time together. "Commander?" Juwan's voice sounded distant, though she stood only a few meters away. Hannah turned to look at her crew. They stared back with fear and wonder. She tried to smile, to reassure them, but wasn't sure her face moved the right way anymore. "I'm still me," Hannah said. Her voice echoed strangely, as if speaking from multiple places at once. Mostly enough. She could sense the Emperor's dreadnought now. Feel it hiding at the edge of the system, cloaked by advanced technology. But technology meant nothing to what she had become. She could see through all deceptions. See the ship. See the Emperor inside. See the planet killer weapon charging. "He's preparing to fire," Hannah said. "I have to go. Now, how?" Dayan asked. "That ship is 3 light hours away. Even at maximum speed." Hannah stepped forward and vanished. She didn't walk, didn't teleport. She simply stopped being on the iron mortar and started being somewhere else. Space folded around her like paper. Distance became meaningless. She appeared on the bridge of the eternal truth, Emperor Thraxanos' personal dreadnought. Alarm screamed immediately. Guards raised weapons. The Emperor himself stood from his command throne, his 4 eyes wide with shock. "How did you get on my ship?" he demanded. "This vessel is perfectly shielded." "Shields are technology," Hannah said calmly, walking toward him. Guards fired energy weapons at her. The beams passed through her body as if she was smoke, then reformed behind her. Technology has rules, physics has laws, but what I am now exists outside those rules, outside those laws. She gestured casually. The guards froze in place, unable to move. Their weapons clattered to the floor. Emperor Thraxanos was old, even for his long-lived species. He had ruled the Draventhi for 3 centuries, conquered 40 species, crushed 100 rebellions. He had never known fear. But looking at this glowing human woman who walked through his shields as if they didn't exist, he felt fear for the first time. "You're the one," he said. "The human commander who destroyed my fleet. Who summoned those things?" "I didn't summon them. I asked for help." "There's a difference." Hannah stopped a few meters from him. "Your tactical officer gave me the coordinates to this ship. He also told me about your planet killer. You were going to destroy Earth. I still will." The Emperor's voice shook, but he maintained his defiant tone. "The weapon is charging. One command from me and your homeworld becomes dust. Kill me, and my crew will fire it anyway. You've accomplished nothing by coming here." Hannah tilted her head, studying him. "I'm going to offer you something, Emperor. The same thing I offered your fleet commander months ago. A choice. What choice? Wisdom or destruction. You can accept that humanity isn't what you thought we were, that we have power you don't understand. You can surrender. Order your fleet to stand down. Sign a peace treaty. Let both our species survive. That's wisdom and destruction? I show you every human story about arrogance, about emperors who thought themselves invincible. You experience each one personally. All the pain, all the suffering, all the terrible endings. And then your heart simply stops, unable to bear the weight of all that knowledge." The Emperor laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. "You think you can frighten me with stories? I am Thraxanos. I have ruled for 300 years. I have crushed species far older than yours. I will not bow to a single human, no matter what tricks you've learned." "Then you choose destruction?" Hannah said softly, almost sadly. "I'm sorry. I hoped you would be wiser." She reached out and touched his forehead with one glowing finger. The Emperor's eyes went wide. His mouth opened in a silent scream. Hannah wasn't harming his body. She was showing him truth. Pouring knowledge directly into his mind, he saw Icarus flying too close to the sun, felt the wax melting on his wings, experienced the fall and the terror. He became King Midas, whose golden touch starved him, felt the hunger as even food turned to metal in his mouth. He lived as Ozymandias, the mighty king whose empire crumbled to dust, saw his statues broken and forgotten in the sand. He was every emperor, every dictator, every ruler who thought themselves above consequences. He lived their stories, felt their downfalls, experienced their deaths. Hundreds of stories, thousands of years of human wisdom about the price of arrogance, all compressed into seconds. The Emperor's body trembled, aged, his skin grew pale. His breathing became shallow. "Please," he whispered. "Stop, I'll surrender." But it was too late. He had chosen destruction, and the stories wouldn't stop. They kept coming, faster and faster. All of humanity's warnings about pride and power, flowing through his mind like poison. Emperor Thraxanos fell to his knees, then to the floor. His heart beat one final time, then stopped. He died not from any physical wound, but from the weight of knowledge. From understanding, too late, that humanity's stories were not primitive superstitions. They were lessons, wisdom, truth. And he had refused to learn. Hannah withdrew her hand. She felt nothing looking at the Emperor's body. No satisfaction, no guilt, just empty purpose. She turned to the frozen crew on the bridge. "Your Emperor is dead. Contact Lieutenant Ixmal on Channel 7. He will coordinate your fleet's surrender. The war is over." She released them from their frozen state. They rushed to their stations, calling for medical help, though anyone could see the Emperor was beyond help. Hannah didn't wait to see what they would do. She folded space again and returned to the iron mortar. Her crew rushed forward when she appeared. Yuan reached her first, but stopped short, unsure whether she should touch her commander. Hannah looked human but felt like something else. Like standing near a fire. Warm but dangerous. It's done, Hannah said. The Emperor is dead? The war is over. What happened to him? Hyunwoo asked. I gave him a choice. He chose poorly. Hannah swayed slightly. Even with all her new power, the transformation was taking its toll. Ixmao will coordinate the surrender. Make sure he's protected. He saved billions of lives today. She looked at the view screen. The battle had stopped. Draventhi ships were broadcasting surrender. The ancient powers Hannah had summoned were fading back into their dark spaces. Baba Yaga's hut walked slowly back into the nebula, its work complete. Yuan, Hannah said quietly. Take command of the iron mortar. I'm relieving myself of duty. What? Commander, no. We need you. Humanity needs you. Humanity needs protectors, defenders. I'm not that anymore. Hannah's voice was sad. Look at me. Really look. I'm not human anymore. I can't be your commander. Can't live among people. Every time I walk into a room, reality bends. My presence hurts normal space. I'm too much now. Too different. Dayan stood. So what will you do? Hannah walked to the view screen and placed one glowing hand against it. Through the glass, through the vacuum, she could sense the galaxy. All the threats that moved in the darkness. All the species that might one day threaten Earth. I'll watch, she said. Baba Yaga's hut has room for 2 now. She taught me everything she knows. Now I'll do what she does. Exist in the spaces between. Guard humanity from the outside. And when they need me, when Earth faces danger it can't handle, I'll come. We'll never see you again? Yuan's voice broke. Hannah turned. For just a moment her glow faded. She looked almost human again. Almost like the commander they had known. She smiled, and this time it was real. Warm, the last piece of her humanity showing through. You'll see me. In stories. In the corner of your vision on dark nights. When ships travel through dangerous space and something impossibly old protects them. That'll be me. She walked to Jiwan and pulled her into a hug. Jiwan gasped at the heat radiating from Hannah's body, but didn't pull away. Thank you. For believing in me? For following me even when I became something frightening. She hugged each of her crew, Dayan, Hyunwoo, even the new members she had recruited. Each embrace was goodbye. Tell Earth that the Witch Queen watches over them, Hannah said. Tell them humanity's stories are real. Our folklore's power. And anyone who threatens us will learn why we've always had tales about witches. She stepped back. The glow around her intensified until she was almost too bright to look at directly. One more thing, Hannah said. Train others. There will be humans with the gift. The ability to walk between. To speak the old words. Find them. Teach them. Make sure humanity always has witches to protect them. We will, Jiwan promised. I swear it. Hannah nodded. Then she vanished, folding space around herself one final time. She appeared in a forest that existed nowhere and everywhere. Trees grew in impossible directions. The sky was the wrong color. A small wooden hut stood in a clearing, resting on enormous chicken legs. The door opened. Baba Yaga stood there, ancient and wild, with a smile on her weathered face. Welcome home, daughter, the old witch said. You did well, but I always knew you would. Hannah walked up the steps and entered the hut. Behind her, the door closed. The chicken legs stirred, and the hut began to walk. It strode through the impossible forest, between dimensions. Into the spaces where witches lived, the galaxy would see it sometimes. A small house walking through nebulae, moving between stars, always watching, always ready. Baba Yaga's daughter had become the Witch Queen, and humanity would never be unprotected again. 20 years passed after the war with the Draventhi ended. Earth rebuilt, expanded, the galaxy had learned to respect humanity, though that respect was mixed with fear. Every species had heard the stories. A single human woman had summoned ancient powers and destroyed the mighty Crimson Armada. An empire that had conquered 40 species had fallen to human magic. Now other species approached Earth carefully, with proper respect. Trade agreements were signed, borders were honored. No one wanted to be the next to face Baba Yaga's daughter. Admiral Jiwan Park stood in her office at Earth Central Defense Command and looked at the reports on her desk. She had risen through the ranks quickly after the war, not because she sought power, but because someone needed to fulfill the promise she had made to Hana. The door chimed. "Come in," Jiwan called. A young woman entered, wearing a cadet's uniform. She looked nervous but excited. Her name was Yunji Nam, and she was one of the special recruits. "You wanted to see me, Admiral?" Yunji asked. "Sit down, cadet." Jiwan gestured to a chair. "How are your studies going?" "Well, ma'am, top of my tactical class, but I'm struggling with the other courses. The ones that aren't in the standard curriculum. The special training," Jiwan said. "Learning the old languages, the symbols, the way to see spaces between spaces." Yunji nodded. "It's hard. Sometimes I'm not sure why I need to learn these things. They seem like superstition, old stories." Jiwan smiled slightly. 20 years ago, I thought the same thing. Then I watched my commander save humanity using those old stories. "Let me show you something." She activated her desk's holographic display. Images appeared in the air. The Iron Mortar, the Draventhi fleet, and Hana Kim standing on the bridge with light pouring from her hands. This was Commander Hana Kim. She was my commanding officer. My friend, she gave up everything to save us. Her warmth, her fear, her mercy. Eventually, her humanity itself. Yuan's voice was soft. She did it because someone had to. Because the price of protecting billions was becoming something else. Something more and less than human. Yunji stared at the images. What happened to her? She became what humanity needed. A guardian who exists outside normal space. A witch who watches over us from the darkness between stars. Jiwan closed the display. But she knew she couldn't do it alone forever. That's why she asked us to find others with the gift. To train them. To make sure humanity always has protectors who understand the old ways. Is that why you recruited me? Because I have this ... gift? You dream of impossible places, don't you? You see things in the corner of your vision. Patterns that shouldn't exist. Symbols that write themselves in your notebooks when you're not paying attention. Yunji's eyes widened. How did you know? Because those are the signs. The markers of someone who can walk between. Who can learn what Hannah learned. Who can become a witch if they choose. Choose? Yunji leaned forward. I have a choice? Always. Hannah was clear about that. The old ways require consent. Sacrifice means nothing if it's forced. You can leave this program, return to normal training, become an excellent tactical officer and live a normal life. No one will judge you, or you stay. Learn the ancient languages. Study the old magics. Understand that the universe is bigger and stranger than physics can measure. You won't give up your humanity like Hannah did? We won't ask that of anyone. But you'll walk a different path. See things others can't. Fight battles in ways that make no sense to normal people. Yunji was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I want to stay. I want to learn. If Commander Kim sacrificed everything to protect us, the least I can do is learn what she tried to teach. Yuan nodded, pride warming her chest. Good, then let's continue your real education. There's someone I want you to meet. She led Yunji through the command center, down to the lower levels that didn't appear on any official maps, through corridors marked with symbols that most people couldn't see, to a room where 5 other cadets waited. An old woman stood at the front of the room. She wore simple clothes, but something about her felt ancient. Powerful, her eyes held depths that made Yunji think of dark forests and older times. This is Instructor Bora Lim, Jawan said. She teach you what the academy can't. Bora, this is Kadet Yunji Nam, another one with the gift. Bora studied Yunji with those deep eyes. Then she smiled. Yes, I can see it. The threads of possibility around you. The way reality bends slightly in your presence. Welcome, child. I hope you're ready to learn. Jiwan left them to their studies. She walked back to her office, thinking about Hana, about the promise, about how humanity was slowly building a new kind of defense. Not just ships and weapons, but witches. Protectors who understood that the universe responded to will and sacrifice. In another part of the galaxy, on a small research station, a young man named Minho Yoon woke from a dream. He sat up in his bunk, breathing hard. In his dream, he had seen a hut walking on chicken legs through space. A woman had stood in the doorway, looking directly at him. Her eyes glowed with inner fire. Find them, she had said. They're waiting for you. It's time to learn. Minho had been having these dreams for months. He kept quiet about them, worried his crewmates would think he was going insane. But the dreams were getting stronger, more real. And he was starting to think they weren't dreams at all. He got up and went to the station's computer, accessed the general network, started searching for unusual training programs. Secret academies? Anything about old languages and ancient symbols. His search led him to a small notice, buried deep in the military recruitment database. It was vague, deliberately so, but it mentioned special aptitudes and unconventional training methods. It gave a contact code. Minho stared at it for a long time. Then he sent a message. I dream of a house on chicken legs. I see symbols in my sleep. I think I'm supposed to find you. The response came within minutes. Pack your things. A ship will arrive for you tomorrow. Welcome to the path, Minho Yoon. We've been waiting. Far away, in a place that wasn't quite a place, Hana Kim stood at the window of Baba Yaga's hut and watched the galaxy turn. She could sense the new witches being trained, could feel their power growing. It made her smile, though her face no longer moved the way human faces did. You chose well, Baba Yaga said, appearing beside her. The old witch looked the same as always, ancient, wild, full of terrible knowledge. Your species learns quickly. In a few more generations, they will have enough witches to protect themselves. You won't need to watch alone. I don't mind watching, Hannah said. Her voice echoed from multiple dimensions at once. It's what I was meant to do. What you trained me for. Still, it's lonely. Being the only one of your kind. I won't be lonely much longer. I can feel them coming. The ones with the deepest gifts. The ones who will eventually join us here in the spaces between. Humanity is building something new. A tradition of witches who guard from the shadows, who remember that magic is real. The hut walked through a nebula, its chicken legs striding through cosmic dust. Below them, a human colony ship traveled to a new world. Hannah watched it pass, making sure no danger threatened it. Do you regret it? Baba Yaga asked. Giving up your humanity? Becoming this? Hannah thought about the question. About Jiwan and Dayan and all the others she had left behind. About the life she could have lived if she had stayed human. About warmth and fear and mercy and all the things she had sacrificed. No, she said finally. I'd do it again. 1,000 times. Because billions of humans are alive because I made this choice. Because humanity is safe. Because the galaxy knows better than to threaten Earth. She turned to look at Baba Yaga. You taught me that the greatest magic requires the greatest sacrifice. I understand that now. Really understand it. Good, then you've learned everything I had to teach. Baba Yaga patted her shoulder with one gnarled hand. Now you're not just my student. You're my equal. My sister witch. Together we'll watch over your species. Make sure they survive in this dangerous galaxy. The hut continued its endless walk through space. Sometimes human ships would report strange sensor readings. A wooden structure where no structure should be. Impossible readings that vanished when they tried to track them. Officers would make official reports, and those reports would reach Admiral Park's desk. She would read them and smile, knowing Hannah was still watching. Still protecting, on Earth, in a classroom hidden beneath the command center, Yunjinam practiced drawing symbols in the air with her finger. The symbols glowed briefly before fading. Beside her, other cadets did the same, learning, growing, understanding. Instructor Bora walked between them, offering corrections. Remember, the old ways are about intent, about will. The symbols are just focus. What matters is the sacrifice you're willing to make, the price you're ready to pay. What if we're not willing to pay the same price Commander Kim paid? One cadet asked. What if we're not ready to give up our humanity? Then you don't, Bora said simply. No one will ask you to become what she became. That was her choice, her unique path. But there are smaller magics, lesser prices. You can learn to see what others can't, to walk roads that don't exist, to speak words that bend probability, all without losing yourself completely. Will we ever meet her? Unji asked. The Witch Queen? Bora smiled mysteriously. Perhaps. On the darkest nights when humanity faces its greatest dangers, she appears. Always watching. Always ready. If you dedicate yourself to this path, if you become true witches, you might see her. Might even receive her teaching directly. The class continued late into the night. Young humans learning the old ways, building a tradition that would protect their species for generations. In the years that followed, humanity spread through the galaxy. They built new colonies, formed new alliances, grew in power and influence. But they never forgot the lesson of the HFY War. Never forgot that their greatest strength wasn't their technology or their ships. It was their stories, their magic. Their witches, other species learned to recognize the signs. Human vessels that moved in impossible ways. Battles won through tactics that violated physics. Negotiations where human representatives knew things they shouldn't know. The galaxy whispered about Earth's secret defenders, about the witches who walked between stars. And deep in the spaces where reality grew thin, Hana Kim watched over them all. The Witch Queen, Baba Yaga's daughter. Humanity's eternal guardian, she had given up everything to save them. Her warmth, her fear, her mercy, her humanity itself? But she had gained something too, purpose, power, the knowledge that billions lived, because she had been willing to pay the price. Sometimes. On the quietest nights she would appear to the new witches in their dreams, teaching them, guiding them, preparing them for the day when they might need to make their own choices about what they were willing to sacrifice. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never threaten the children of Earth. Their mothers remember the old ways. And Baba Yaga's daughter is always watching.